Are you buying or selling a property in Spain? Well, there's one document that can stop a sale, it can prevent a mortgage, and it could potentially even cost you thousands. And it's a document that many foreign sellers that own property in Spain or foreign buyers that are looking to buy property in Spain don't even know about. And this document, it's called the AFO. I'm Amy from Solving Spain, and today we're going to chat a little bit more about what this document is and how it could affect you. If you're a foreign owner of a property already in Spain, or you're a foreign buyer looking to buy one, then this video is really important for you. Every single year in Spain, foreign sellers lose buyers at the very last minute. And every single year in Spain, foreign buyers purchase properties and then discover after completion that they have bought a property which they cannot get building permits on, they cannot mortgage, and also they can't even get insurance to protect their new asset. And very often, it's down to one missing legal status, the AFO. In this video, I'm going to explain what an AFO actually is, why it's so important in Spain, especially for rural properties, the risks of buying or selling without one, and what you should do before it becomes a serious problem. Let's get started. So what is an AFO? AFO stands for, and bear with me, Asimilado Fuera de Ordenación. In simple terms, an AFO is a legal recognition that the town hall gives a property that was built under these following conditions. It was either built without the correct planning licenses, or it was just not fully in line with the planning licenses that were obtained. And this is crucial. The authorities can no longer demolish the property because longer than the set amount of time has passed, so they're unable to do that. So this is also important. An AFO does not mean that the property is fully legal or that it is the same as a property built with all the correct licenses. It does mean that the property is recognised, the property is safe, the property is tolerated, and that the property is legally allowed to remain exactly where it is under the correct conditions. Another thing that's really important to know is that an AFO is not scary. It's a very common situation in Spain, and especially in the area of Andalusia. So all of this being said, why do foreign sellers need to care about an AFO? If you are a foreign seller, you might come to me and you might say, I'm not worried. I've owned my property for years. I've paid my taxes. I bought it with a lawyer. I'm not going to have any problems. I've never had any problems. And that's partially true until you come to sell. And these are the realities of today's market. More buyers are informed. This isn't Spain from 20 years ago when buyers had no idea what they were doing. More lawyers are cautious. Lawyers have been stung. They've been caught out on paperwork. Every year, lawyers get more and more cautious and will protect their buyers even more fiercely. And more banks refuse mortgages. For a seller, if your property doesn't have an AFO when it needs one, these are the consequences that you can face. Buyers pulling out late in the process because it wasn't disclosed at the beginning. Buyers demanding large price reductions above and over the cost of the AFO being done. Buyers wanting to buy your property but being refused a mortgage by the bank. Long delays while an AFO is being applied for. This can be up to 2 years, in which case most buyers pull out anyway. And this does happen in many cases. The property just becomes uninteresting and unsellable to most buyers. And the worst part of this is that many foreign sellers only discover this after they've already accepted an offer, which is the worst possible time to find it out. So we've talked about sellers, but let's talk about buyers. Why do foreign buyers need to be very careful? If you're a foreign buyer, especially buying a cortijo, something rural, a finca, or anything outside of the town centre, then you do need to be really careful. You must have at least a basic understanding of an AFO before you buy. You need to work with a professional that can correctly help you, because if you buy a property that does not have an AFO and it actually needed one, you could face the following consequences. You could put down a reservation and then get no mortgage approval. You could get problems with connecting services such as water and electricity. You can have difficulties with insurance, making it invalid. You would lose the ability to make any major works on the property, such as repairing a damaged roof. You would definitely be facing a lower resale value if you've paid over the odds. And along with that lower resale value will be many issues and difficulties when trying to resell. And as we've talked about before, lawyers are getting more difficult year on year. You might buy a property without an AFO now and not have an issue immediately, but in 20 years, you're just not going to be able to resell it. And in some cases, sadly, and it's all too common, buyers find this out after completion, when it's too late to do anything about it. So let's move on to some common misunderstandings, some common myths that everybody seems to get caught up on and confused about when it comes to the AFO. Number one, the property's registered, therefore it must be legal. Not necessarily. If any modifications have been made, if that property's outline has changed at all in the last years, that is definitely not the case. The previous owner never had an issue, but that doesn't mean that that's going to protect you. It doesn't protect the asset that you've just bought and the future of that asset. My lawyer will automatically check everything. I don't need to worry. But not lawyers are actually specialised in rural planning law, which varies massively from region to region. So if your lawyer doesn't understand, and of course they won't admit to not understanding, you could be in a very vulnerable position. Oh, I'm not going to worry about it now. We can sort it out later. Well, yeah, sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't. The key to that is having all the information and knowing exactly what you're getting into. It is true, you can buy a property without an AFO. The important thing is having all the information, knowing what you're buying, knowing what the consequences are, and the price being right. When it comes down to it, every case is different, but assumptions can be really expensive. So, the next question. What happens if my property needs an AFO and it doesn't have one? What do I do? So, what realistically happens if my property doesn't have an AFO? Well, we've kind of covered the answer. The sale can fall through, the buyer might not get finance, you might be forced to sell to cash buyers only, meaning the property value will drop, and basically you're just going to be in for stress, delays and uncertainty. Who should be paying attention to the AFO? Well, that's kind of what we've covered. It should be anybody that owns a property in Spain, anybody that's looking to buy a property in Spain, anybody that's outside of the urban area, and anybody that's not 100% sure that their property paperwork is absolutely correct. Here at Solving Spain, we've been working in the business for many, many, many years. And we do see cases of clients that have purchased with a lawyer 10 years ago. They purchased a property that they thought was completely legal. They've come back to sell 10 years later. They've instructed our services and found out that actually the property didn't have an AFO. It did need an AFO. It wasn't completely legal and they have no idea about it. So just because you bought with a lawyer, that's another thing to keep in mind. It doesn't mean that your property doesn't need an AFO now. So this all kind of sounds very doom and gloom. So let's talk about what should we do next. And the good news is that there are loads of solutions available. You just need to be informed that you need an AFO, and then we can go ahead and find that solution for you. Many AFO situations can be resolved. That's the great news. But of course, only if they're identified and if they're handled correctly. The worst thing that you can do is either ignore it, assume it doesn't apply to you, or worst case scenario, find out that you need an AFO when you've already got a buyer and an offer's already been accepted. So if you are a seller, get clarity before you put your property on the market. And if you are a buyer, make sure you know exactly what you're buying and you fully understand that. So if you are selling and unsure if your property needs an AFO, buying but unsure of the planning situation of a property, or if you just need some more information and didn't really fully understand the implications of an AFO, then do get in touch with us. A quick conversation now can save you months of stress if you're selling, months of stress if you're looking to buy a property in Spain, thousands in unexpected costs, and it can save you the massive headache of any legal problems that could come up later. And the moral of the story is, don't guess, don't assume, and don't leave it until it's too late. Just ask, we're here to help. And it really, really doesn't have to be Spainful. We know Spanish paperwork can get to us sometimes, but it does not have to be Spainful. Get in touch and we're really happy to help.